Good morning. People are showing up now. We'll be starting in just a moment. Hello and welcome to this webinar about rehearsal video role play. This is a new training platform that has the possibilities to change the way you think about your team and its preparation for talking with prospects and current customers. I'm Barbara Weaver-Smith, your host, and I'm founder and CEO of the Whale Hunters. We're so happy to present this webinar featuring our guest, Derek Volpa, CEO of Understand.com. That's the company that's bringing Rehearsal VRP to market. We're going to be on the air for about 45 minutes. Before I introduce Derek, let me tell you why I'm hosting this webinar. The Whale Hunters business is to help small and mid-sized companies grow fast by selling bigger deals to bigger customers. Most of my clients, including many of you who are watching this video, have a complex sale, and you have a lot of people involved in the sale, both on the buyer side and on your side. And usually during a big sale, you have one or maybe many occasions when you're making a presentation with several people on your team interacting with several of the prospective buyers. Now, people struggle to prepare for that setting, and the ways that you have to practice it, to rehearse it, are time-consuming and inexpensive and difficult to get together because you really need to be kind of live and in front of someone and getting feedback in order to know if you're doing the right thing. Yet it's just a vital skill for successful sales, especially big sales in today's market. So that's what attracted me to Rehearsal. It offers a great way for members of your team to practice with feedback, and it also offers many additional benefits and ways that you can use it for training and practice in your company. Now, just to take a minute by way of housekeeping, all the participants are on mute in order that we have the best sound quality today. So if you have questions or comments, post them in the chat room, and my partner Larry Smith will present them into the live broadcast. Also, you will be receiving follow-up emails with information on how you can contact us after the broadcast is complete. And now, let me introduce Derek Volpa. Derek's an entrepreneur. He's the founder of Rehearsal VRP. He's a prominent entrepreneur in Reno, and his company is an ASTD partner. They've been a finalist for Best Places to Work. They've been on the Inc. 5000 for fast growth, and Derek personally was recognized in the 20 under 40 list in both Reno and Nevada. So without further ado, let's welcome Derek Volpa. And Derek, I'm going to turn this presentation over to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the introduction, Barbara. And what you were describing in your target market of smaller companies, looking for the big whales, I mean, that's almost exactly the position that we're in, that my company is in right now. So, very fitting. It has been, I will tell you what, it has been a crazy time at Rehearsal. We just returned from our second trade show a few weeks ago, and we had companies lined up 3 and 4 deep for demos for 3 days at the ASTD meeting.
That's great.
It was crazy, and it was a who's who of corporate America. So I mean, there were a few times where I would almost have an out-of-body experience as I looked at, we had 4 stations, 4 people giving demos, and people lined up 3 and 4 deep. So we have hit something that is necessary and needed, and people get it, and it is incredibly exciting. So thank you for the opportunity to take you through Rehearsal and give you a little demo.
No, we're just looking forward to it, absolutely.
So what I want to do just quickly, a few slides on rehearsal, why it's a better mousetrap, and then really spend the majority of the time on a demo
Great.
that will take you through how rehearsal works. So I'll start with the first slide, and this is our marketing, kind of initial marketing campaign. And if you subscribe to any of the sales and training magazines, or you may have seen this ad. This ad has hit a nerve with people. Role play sucks.
Yep.
It does. I mean, as a former salesperson who has been called up on stage to conduct a role play, as a former sales trainer who has had to herd cats and try and manage groups of sales reps all doing role play, I can tell you it's not a fun process. But the fact of the matter is that it works.
Yeah.
And there are few tools that can hone and perfect your communication and selling skills like role play. So really, it was our job. How can we make this not suck? How can we provide it in a better way?
Yeah.
So let me just briefly go over kind of traditional role play, the issues, the problems, the shortcomings versus rehearsal VRP. Then we'll get into the demo. First of all, it's expensive. You've got travel many times, hotel, meals, especially the case for your larger organizations. Rehearsal is cost effective. No travel is required. Travel can be, from your kitchen to your office.
Right.
You don't have to be in person to conduct role play. Second, and this is the case for small organizations, this is the case for medium and large size organizations. The lost productivity from being out of the field during prime selling hours can be staggering, especially for your medium and large size organizations. What do? When they bring 100 people or 1,000 people in for sales training or a national sales meeting to do training and role play, your competitors have to be salivating.
Yep.
With rehearsal, training is done when it best suits you without having to travel and without having to leave the field. It's difficult for managers to give feedback or do metrics. It's just tough, especially when you've got multiple classes going on. With rehearsal VRP, every role play is submitted and graded and receives individual mentor feedback.
I think that's so important because getting good quality feedback makes a big difference. A lot of times in role play, you're getting feedback from your peers who are watching, and it can be very awkward.
Sure, no question. In many cases, limited participation is limited. Maybe you pull a few people onto the stage to do role play. I know that from my striker days. I was a sales rep for a medical device company, and I got called up to do a role play. It's still seared in my memory.
Yeah.
Doing a role play in front of 200 people is, well, let's just say it's stressful. With rehearsal, every learner, every student does each assigned role play. So that's great. Helps you really master your skills. Traditional role play, it's rarely captured on video, and you don't have the ability to share it with the team in an easy way. And with rehearsal, every role play is captured, and every video that the mentor or manager thinks is worthy is submitted to the leaderboard and can be shared with the whole team. So you imagine this, you're getting a library of best practices that everyone can learn from 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, and at the same time, nobody's ever being embarrassed. That's what I love about it, because role play live is really embarrassing for the participants.
It is. It is embarrassing. It is stressful. You're absolutely right.
And it's out of context because there's just there's no it's just not like really being in this situation.
Totally. I mean, we're salespeople, right? We're not actors. So,
right.
I mean, when I'm looking at the guy who I've known for 10 years and I'm trying to pretend he's a client, it's just the whole thing's just kind of awkward, and so we remove that awkwardness. which kind of goes to the next point, and it's an excellent segue. I think you've read my slides, although you haven't. But in real role play, you've got one shot to get it right. Many times in front of a large group, incredibly stressful. With rehearsal, you practice and practice and practice until you've mastered the scenario, and then you submit it to your manager or mentor for review. And that's huge. And we found that the average number of submissions for a role play is 5. So someone will try 5 times to get their pitch right before they're satisfied, and then they'll submit that to their manager or team for review.
That's great.
So let me, I'm going to escape out of this. I'm going to go into the demo now, because that is really the heart and soul. Hello there.
Great. Hi.
All right. Can you see my screen okay, Barbara?
I can, yes.
So here's the meat and potatoes, and this is what I'm most excited about, showing you how rehearsal works, how easy it is to use, both from the student perspective and both from the administrator. So right now we're on the main dashboard of a fictitious company called Acme. All of my Roadrunner fans will appreciate that. The younger folks may not know Acme, but I've watched lots of Roadrunner cartoons, Wile E. Coyote. We have just some pretty traditional stuff on the main dashboard. So we have an announcements section where you can talk about a new role play that has been created and that students will respond to. You can talk about national sales meeting, really just general announcements tab. Same with the events. You can have deadlines to get things done. If you have a sales meeting coming up or a sales call coming up, you can use the events calendar. Pretty normal stuff. But the heart and soul of rehearsal is in the role play section. So I have this broken up into 3 different categories on the left side. I want you to think about these categories as anything. I mean, they can be departments, they can be products, they can be regions, whatever makes sense for you and your application. I have these broken down into departments. So we have customer service, we have HR, and most important, we have sales for this demo. As I toggle through these different topics, you can see that the role plays come up. And I want to take you through a role play in sales. I'm going to take you through 2. The first one I'm going to take you through is not approved supplier objection. This hasn't been done at all. There's no check mark. Then I want to show you what a role play looks like that has been graded and my manager has provided video feedback for me. So let's go into the first not approved supplier objection. So on the left side, we have what is the background of the particular role play. This is a free-form text box, so you can put whatever you want in here. What we recommend, depending on the case, is to provide the student background on the role play that he or she is going to watch. So in this role play, you are calling on a customer that only buys from approved vendors. My objective is to negotiate this objection to either fast-track the order or ask for approval for an exception to be made for the instance while the approval process moves forward. My estimated response time is less than a minute. So I'm going to watch this role play right now.
You guys sound great. I had no idea you even existed. Unfortunately, I can't give you an order. You're not on the approved supplier list, and I can only buy from companies on that list. You're not in the accounting system. There's just too many things in the way. I'd love to give you an order, but I just don't see how it's possible anytime soon. I guess we could start doing the paperwork to get you on the list. I'd say maybe 3, 4, 5 months from now it shouldn't be a problem, but I can't do anything right now.
All right, did you see that role play okay, Barbara?
Yes, I did. There's a little bit of delay in the speaking, which is not, that's a function of the webinar. It's not a function of the software, because when we're actually doing it in your environment, there's no delay on the sound. But yeah, What I want to point out is that's the scenario that you're asking the salesperson to respond to.
Exactly. So, and that's just a function of the webinar. You're right. I saw that, and it played seamlessly on my end.
Yeah, it does.
I am going to. Now I can watch this as many times as I want. I really encourage the students to do that. Watch it, get comfortable with it. Think about how you're going to respond. When you're ready, you switch over to the record mode. Now this is me live.
Hi, Derek.
Hello. And I'm going to think about how I'm going to overcome this particular objection. So let me switch to record mode. We have a countdown timer. And now I am responding to this role play. And I am going to use whale hunter tactics to overcome this objection and get the order.
Great.
So let me stop the recording. On timer. And now I am responding to this role play. Okay. I'll go ahead and pause that. So it's playing back my response right now. And as the student, I have two options. I can delete this if I'm not happy with my response. And when I had earlier said that the average number of responses is 5, this is where we can see that people will try on average 5 times before they're satisfied with their performance. And that's great. That's just what you want. Practice, practice, practice in a safe environment until you've mastered the topic, and then you can move on to the next role play.
Yeah, I want to chime in on that, Derek, because I'm actually involved with my colleague Alice Hyman, who is also a colleague of yours. Alice is doing some sales training right now that I'm participating in, particularly for the purpose of using Rehearsal. And she is setting up rehearsal scenarios following every session that she's teaching online. And so I've responded to several of those, and I really do find the need to practice. And I don't know if I'm typically doing it 5 times, but I know I'm doing it 2 or 3 times before I actually make it go live.
Sure, absolutely. It's probably me that's bringing the average up because I've done so many of them, and I'm never happy with how I perform. So if I was happy with my performance, I would click the save recording, and then I would move on to the next role play.
Okay.
I'm going to minimize, I'm going to exit out of that one. Now I want to show people what it looks like when a role play is graded by your manager or mentor, or in your case, Alice.
Uh-huh.
So let's look at the high price objection. You can see I got a check. It's been graded. I got an 87.5%. So I'm going to take a look at it. Now, what has changed with my view is that there is a new box at the bottom of the role play box you had just seen, and this is the feedback and score from my manager. Let me first watch what this role play was.
Yes, I did receive your quotes, and fortunately it was not the lowest, so it looks like I'll be giving this order to somebody else. Sorry.
All right. So here was my response to that role play. This is not live. I did this, I don't know when I did this one. Well, I understand that. And that is difficult, but I need to tell you that you can't afford not to do business with. All right, I'll pause that. Everybody gets the idea. My objection in this particular, or my response wasn't particularly good, but now this is going to be a little funny because I'm grading my own role play.
Okay.
You know, normally this is going to be somebody else grading your role play, but let's just say I'm a little biased. So here's me grading my own role play. Well, I understand this is probably a bit schizophrenic because I'm grading my own role plays. But Derek, you did a wonderful job. Congratulations. I'm going to send your response to the leaderboard. Well done. All right, so individual, personalized messages to your team members, to your team. If you're a regional manager, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are a large Fortune 500 company, sales training managers, regional managers, lots of applications, and you can assign different individuals to be mentors to grade your role plays if you are a medium or larger size organization, so that function is dispersed amongst many people.
Let me add to that. You can also, if you have sales trainers that you work with, they can participate, or if you have the whale hunters involved with your company, we can participate as well in helping you to create the scenarios as well as helping to give feedback to your performers.
Well, you're exactly right, and that's your secret sauce. I mean, the platform is great, but having individuals with an expertise in consulting and sales development, that's the secret sauce where you can really provide value and critique and mentor and help people get better and give them individualized feedback. So
exactly,
good stuff.
And I was mentioning the need that my clients have so often is on a particular deal that lasts a long time, and we have multiple people involved in making the sale. One of our categories where you have sales, customer service, and HR, we'd probably have a category for the deal. And
sure.
All of the role plays would be focused on what is the next interaction with that client, whether it's even on the phone or it's a live presentation where you're managing a number of people who are all interfacing with various people on the customer side.
Indeed. So one more kind of fun feature I will show you is the hot seat. I don't know if Alice has done any hot seats with you, but you can see this little warning is coming up telling me that I understand that this is a hot seat. So here's how the hot seat works. I read this scenario. This is the 30-second pitch. I watch it.
I know the engineering department told you to come up here, but unfortunately I've got a meeting with the company CFO in less than a minute. So can you very briefly just run down what your company does, and if it sounds good, we'll definitely schedule something for later.
All right. Now, it's going, and I don't get a chance to do a retake. So this is called the hot seat. You've got one chance to get it right. And I think that there are applications for the hot seat as there are applications for traditional role play where you can practice, but this really allows you to check people's selling skills on the fly. And it's pretty funny, the first time somebody does a hot seat, they're almost always caught off guard, and so it can keep it interesting. And making a role play a hot seat is as easy as clicking a button. So let me stop that recording. You can see I didn't get an option to re-record. It's just automatically processing that, and there it is. There's my hot seat. Do a retake. So this is called a hot seat. You've got, so you get the idea. Do you have any questions, Barbara, that you want me to? I'm going to go into some other features of Rehearsal, but let me stop there and see if you had any questions or comments.
Yeah, I think that looks pretty clear. To me, I want to invite people who are participating live. If you have a question, just type it in the chat box, and it'll get to Derek, and he can talk about it.
Perfect. And if those come up, let me know. I will stop.
I sure will. Larry will. Yep.
Okay. So a couple other features real quickly. Performance shows how students have performed over time, what their completion of different role plays is. I have my average score is 93.75. I've completed 2 role plays. I have 1 here and 1 here. So as you have more role plays, this graph will have more data points. And then we do a little gamification where you can earn badges. We've even created unique custom badges for some of our clients. If I do very well in a role play, and it is submitted to the leaderboard, which I'm going to show you next, then I can get a little leaderboard icon. Perfect segue into the leaderboard. So we talked about different ways and how the platform is powerful. The 2 key things that I think really stand out are the ability to practice, almost like a muscle memory of an athlete. You know, you do it over and over again, and then that way when you are in a real situation, you can deliver right there. So that's hugely important. There aren't many vehicles that make people practice like that, and Rehearsal does. The second point, and I talked a little bit about this in the PowerPoint presentation, it's the leaderboard. It's having a resource of the best role plays, the best of the best conversations people have had that I can go and reference 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if I'm going into a competitive situation or with a particular company, and I have a larger sales force, I can go, if I live in Reno and I want to watch the #1 sales rep in the company review see how this person has sold this product, I can go review their role plays and help me prepare and refine my communication skills. And there's 2 in here. You can search by topic, you can search by person, lots of ways to do that. But if I click on this, I can get access to the best of the best role plays.
Yeah, I can see how over not even a long period of time you could begin to build an outstanding library for training that's all entirely focused on your own business and your own customer issues. I just love that.
Sure. And all of these videos can be downloaded. So if there's a great response that you really like and you want to download it, you can download it into an MPEG and drop it into a PowerPoint or use it for other purposes. Conversely, you can upload role play scenarios. So some of our larger clients want very unique, very high production value role plays. They can do that on their own, and then they can upload those role plays into the system. So the platform has a lot of flexibility where that's concerned.
Yeah, that's actually a feature that I didn't already know about, so I'm very glad to hear that. I want to just remind people that this is all happening on people's laptop computers with their built-in camera and their built-in recorder. That's how we're participating in this webinar presentation today. I'm just sitting here at my Dell with my internal camera on. I don't have any special equipment for this. So it really is easy for people to use at work or at home, wherever they are. If they've got their laptop, they have access to this.
That's right. It's device independent, Barbara. So it will work on a Mac, PC, tablet, iPad. It will even work on an iPhone or mobile phone. So
yeah, that's perfect for the sales group.
Yeah. There's only 2 things that you need to use Rehearsal, and that's a webcam and an internet connection. That's it.
Great.
Yeah. Some couple other little points here. The profile section is just what it sounds like. You put in your picture. You can talk about your employment experience. Nothing revolutionary here. A support section. We've got a series of video tutorials that explain how to do things. But I think the important point here, and what should come across as you watch me interact, is that this is really, really easy to use.
Yeah.
And that is a testament to our graphic designer, who is he's world class. He has skinned something that his design principles are very much like Apple, like the iPad or the iPhone. You open those up, and there are no instructions. It's the same idea with Rehearsal. So, if you do want to get a deeper dive on something, we do have some video tutorials that you can watch to show you how to do
This is a brief
things.
walkthrough of Rehearsal.
But you don't need it. It's just not necessary. So I'll stop there and see if you have any questions at all. If any questions have come up.
Yeah. Here's a question, Derek. Would you talk about how you price this service? And what's the nature of it? Is it a cloud service, or how does that all work?
Yeah, sure. Pricing is always a good question. So we use Amazon Web Services. It's hosted in the cloud. That doesn't mean anything for the users really, other than it's just available on our end. You don't have to download any software.
Right.
Literally, all you need is a webcam and an internet connection in order to use Rehearsal. Pricing is $19.99 per month per user.
Okay. That's very reasonable. I like that, and I want to tell our audience we're not doing this isn't a sales presentation. It's a learning presentation, as I promised you, and we're not doing any hard sell or any special deal. If you sign up within the next 30 minutes, whatever. We want you to have the opportunity to think seriously about whether this might be a good addition to the way in which you train people, not only salespeople, but anybody who interacts with your customers. I think there are just multiple uses for this kind of platform, and I personally intend to use that in a broad number of ways with my own customers and clients. So If you want to know more, if you want to talk to us about it, we're going to be sending you some follow-up emails with detailed contact information. But for those of you who know me or came from my list, you know to reach me, Barbara, at thewhalehunters.com, and we can talk more about any of your interest. And if someone else referred you to the webinar, you can certainly talk to them as well. I want to remind you the Whale Hunters has become a licensed reseller of Rehearsal, and we're bringing this to you. Obviously, we have, because we're a reseller, we have a self-interest, but you know me well enough that we don't do very much of this at all, only with very few key services that we think are a great fit with whale hunting, and that's what I believe about Rehearsal. So Derek, I'm going to turn it back to you if you have some final words.
No, Barbara, I think that this has been great, and you know, this is a novel approach to training. And when I say novel, I don't want to be over dramatic, but we're literally creating an industry where there hasn't been one, that really allows people wherever they're located to use video in a new way to improve their communication skills. And the applications, you know, you and I both think sales, but the applications are so much larger than sales. I mean, customer service, HR compliance, interviewing. I mean, it just really goes on and on. So it's an exciting time here for us, and we're thrilled to have you as a licensed reseller.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks to everybody who's online today and those of you who are viewing this in replay. We really appreciate your interest in Rehearsal video role play and in the Whale Hunters. Thank you, and I hope you'll join us again for another webinar. Thank you, Derek. I really appreciate your coming on with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.